Hey, and welcome to Board with Life News for April 27th. Today I'm going to talk about BIOS Genesis, Tabletop Season 4, Kingsport Festival the card game, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, as well as the Kickstarter for Exposed. Let's get to it. Hey, I'm Chris. Welcome to Board with Life News. So, BIOS Genesis is a design by Phil Eklund, and he's been working on this for years. Apparently, it was registered on Board Game Geek in like 2012, so clearly he's been working a long time on it. And it's a really interesting theme. It takes place at the genesis of life, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this stuff, because I'm just putting this in layman's terms to what I think is happening, because there were a bunch of big scientific words I literally didn't understand. But I think basically you play single-cell organisms, and you're trying to, like, split and create life as we know it, basically. It said like different kinds of life, where there's Darwinian life, which that made sense to me, but then another one that I didn't know at all. So basically, it's a smart game, and I'm done. Another interesting thing about the game is it's 1 to 4 players, but it said it could be played cooperatively, competitively, or solo. So that's pretty cool if you like that kind of different choices in your gameplay. And it is set to come out this October, so definitely keep an eye out for that if that sounds interesting. Will Wheaton announced Tabletop Season 4 will be happening this June or July. It's going to be on the Geek and Sundry YouTube channel, just like other seasons. He also released the list of 17 games that they're going to play this year, and it's a mix of like family games, social deduction games, indie RPGs, as well as the normal kind of light to mid-weight games that they've been playing in past seasons. I'm really happy to see indie RPGs on this list, because I think they're pretty great and they need larger visibility. Tabletop is the way a ton of people find out about our hobby, so it's a thing that is good because it grows our hobby, and anything that grows our hobby grows us. So rising tide lifts all boats, or whatever that phrase is that everybody says all the time. Passport Studios announced Kingsport Festival, the card game. This is obviously based on the same type of universe as Kingsport, the game that came out a couple of years ago, which was itself based on the game Kingsburg, which came out a couple of years before that, and I'm a huge fan of Kingsburg. There's no word that I could find on the mechanics of this game yet or anything like that, but in it you're going to be playing high priests of the shadowy cults of Arkham, so you're going to be on like the evil side of the Cthulhu mythos, so I'm sure that's appealing to a lot of people, and people keep buying Cthulhu games, so I guess they keep selling. Obviously, if people are buying them, they're selling. Cthulhu, you get another Cthulhu game. Congratulations! Gamelin Games announced Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, and this is going to be a huge release coming to Kickstarter in January. This is a 4X fantasy game by Scott Alms, who works regularly with Gamelin Games. In this game, you're going to be taking on the roles of orcs, humans, dwarves, or elves, and you're going to be battling other kingdoms. The description sounded like a 4X game, so if you're into that, congratulations. But Scott Elms and Gamelin Games are known for the Tiny Epic lines, like Tiny Epic Kingdoms, Tiny Epic Galaxies, all that kind of stuff. This just looks like they're dropping the tiny all together, and it's just going to be an epic game. It's going to have awesome miniatures. Chad Hoverter, who is the sculptor for Mice and Mystics, is sculpting them, so you know that those are going to be incredibly awesome. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a big box, huge release for Gamelin Games and Scott Alms. So make sure you keep an eye out for that if that sounds interesting to you. This week's Kickstarter is for Exposed. This is from the creators of Good Cop, Bad Cop, which was a game that came out a couple years ago that Rodney Smith from Watch It Played introduced me to. It's a really good, light social deduction game, so they have a good track record with me. In this game, you play pickpockets, and you're trying to steal wallets without getting exposed by other players. There's like hidden movement or secret movement where you're moving around the board and people don't know what character you're controlling. It seems pretty interesting. It's got really wonderful art, very cartoony style that I like a whole lot. And it is $24 right now on Kickstarter, so if that sounds interesting to you, go back that. All right, that's the news for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Just in case you haven't noticed, this is no longer on the Moonrat Media channel. You are now on Chris Bryan Games channel, so make sure you subscribe here. And also go follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Chris Bryan Games. All right, this week's question comes from @TylerBeckett4, and they ask, what are the best tabletop RPGs for one-shot storytelling? Right off the bat, the best one is Fiasco. Like, I'm going to give you some other ones, but the best one's Fiasco. Fiasco doesn't require any setup before the game for any of the players. There's no DM or anything like that. You can just sit down and play it. It plays in like 2 or 3 hours. It almost always leads to really hilarious scenarios. But this is a very storytelling-focused RPG, so it's not about crunchy mechanics and dice rolling and stuff like that. It's about people improvising in scenes. And the game gives you a really good framework to do that, so even if you're not great in that, it's okay. But Fiasco is just absolutely wonderful. I'd also suggest Dread, which is a horror RPG that uses a Jenga tower. So instead of whenever you have to make a check rolling a die, it's how many pieces of the Jenga tower you have to take out and put on top. And whenever it falls over, your character dies. It's very evocative. It actually, you get tense and scared. So it's a great use of kind of the mechanics of the game driving the theme of the game as opposed to the other way around. I also like End of the World, especially if you're going like camping or like on a trip or something. This is a game that you play yourself in it. They've already released the zombie one as well as the like deep ones, basically Cthulhu one. And they're going to release more. I think they have aliens and another one that I can't remember. But basically you play yourself. You only have the things on you that you have on you, right? So like if it's going to be the end of the world, and if you don't have contact solution, you wear contacts, like you better go have to find some contact solution. And it starts like at the gaming table. So it's really cool. I really like it when you're on a trip or something and in a new environment, because you have to like examine the environment and figure out what you would do and how you would do it. Big fan of that one. And then for something totally different is Dog Eat Dog. We played this on the Houses and Humans podcast. If you're interested, you can go find that by Googling Houses and Humans Dog Eat Dog, I imagine. And Dog Eat Dog is a game about colonialism, and it's not particularly fun. We had a good time playing it, but basically one person is the colonizing nations, and everyone else plays the natives, and the colonizing nations will win, right? So one of two things can happen in the game. One, the colonizing nations will just wipe out the natives, or two, the natives basically start following every rule that the colonizing nation sets forth until they've lost their culture altogether and they're indistinguishable from the colonizing people altogether. It's a game that should absolutely be played in schools. And I don't want to make it sound like it's like academic, you won't have a good time. Like, I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the best gaming experiences I've had. But it's a fascinating game that also really makes you feel more than almost any other game I've played or movie I've watched or art I've seen. Makes you feel kind of how horrifying colonialism was and is, and very interesting, and it plays in an evening, so I definitely recommend that one as well. Thanks for your question. It was a good question. I like talking about indie RPGs, so yay, I'm glad I got to do that. All right, thanks for tuning in this week, and I will see you next week.